To foster healthier, more energetic farms and blooming Maui Superfood Forest, Valley Global is out on the road learning regenerative agriculture from the pros. We recently connected with Vincent and Rick at Kahanu Aina Greens to dive deep in natural fertilizers and fertility inputs. We received a special package of these potent natural fertilizers to use back on our Maui Superfood Forest.
So Kahanu Aina Greens, you have to understand, is making a living on a postage stamp. You know, the farm is 2,500 square feet. 1,700 square feet is growing area, 400 square feet is processing, and 400 square feet is compost. And what we do at each one of our flats, we grow it all in flats in a plant-based compost. We take those flats and then we compost it using puka pipes that are going horizontally and vertically. And so it can build the pile up to where it doesn't go anaerobic because of the air that gets in through the pile. We don't have to turn it. It's a static pile. And now the product that we've been using over the years has cultured to being 32 years old compost that we harvest and amend accordingly to soil test what elementals it needs. And then we use it to grow our microgreens. And the beautiful thing about it is the microgreens, after they're harvested, they don't oxidize easily. So they have a really long shelf life. I've had people tell me, I bring them back to the mainland, visiting people, and I give it to them. They said, you know, we ate some of the greens and they ended up in the refrigerator and they ended up in the back of the refrigerator. And a couple weeks later, we found them and they still were crunchy and the ends weren't brown. So it's really neat to hear that kind of testimonial from folks that eat our greens and how long they'll last. Because usually sprouts, you know, that are grown in water, they don't hold up. You look at it on the shelf, it looks like E. coli in a bag, you know, but these are microgreens. They're grown in a compost medium, they're harvested from cutting and weighed and bagged, and in the store they last for a really long time, and then you can take them home and they last for a long time there too. So it's really a wonderful thing that you can get that kind of nutrient-rich hit from something like a microgreen, like a sunflower we grow, radish, pea greens, and wheatgrass. So that's the basis of our farm, is that compost that grows the greens. These worms, they live and work on the top part of your bin, and you pretty much have to hemo the whole bin to get the castings out, you know what I mean? I would just rake this through and the castings would drop out when they're ready. There you go. So that's pure earthworm castings. This is the only one that isn't flow through, the one back here. I have to harvest this from the top. And that's what you're looking through the microscope. That's from this bin. Here, put them in your hand and smell them and pass them on.
So what's your process of building this up?
I'm basically using cardboard, the shredded cardboard. I go back and forth between the crumbles and the mats and then put the juice pulp on it. Okay. But I want to try a little bit of horse manure because the worms really love the horse manure, you know.
Where do you get your worms? You buy them?
No, I just got them. Yeah, I got them. And, you know, they proliferate. They're like rabbits, you know. Red wigglers is what I'm using. We do vermicomposting here at Kahanu Aina Greens. And what I love about the red wigglers in composting, in vermicomposting, is that they basically are top feeders and they create these beautiful castings. And so what I'm doing in our particular situation, I have 2-foot diameter sewer pipes that I open the bottom up and I put pipes, I heated PVC pipes to conform around the bottom. And so this way I could put a rake underneath and rake the castings, to harvest the castings down below. So basically it's feeding from the top and harvesting from below. And it's really a beautiful system, but they don't sleep. They're like rust. They just feed and procreate, and And it's a beautiful thing watching them develop. And I look at their castings underneath the microscope, and wow, the proteins and the sugars that you can see in the casting, they're like, they look electric. You know, they're real shiny. The castings are real shiny in the microscope, and that's the proteins and sugars. So, you know, what goes through the earthworm, it's known that the earthworm would ingest E. coli and it doesn't come out the other side. So it's able to process some amazing things throughout its gullet. And in the microscope, you can actually see the food passing through the worm and developing into a casting. And that's what builds humic structures. And it reminds me of when I was a kid at the beach, and I used to take sand and let the sand run through my fingers, and it would build like castles, you know, and that's the humic. It looks like humic structures that are coming out of a worm bin. This is an interesting structure. You notice, what do you notice about this PVC? 2-inch PVC with a lot of weight on it.
Yeah.
It's not flexing. You know why? 2x2s fit right inside. You may have to mill it down sometimes, they're a little bit bigger, you know, but you just, these are like wooden beams.
Yeah.
And then what I put construction pins.
Join them.
Yeah, construction pins in the ground, left them 6 inches standing above the ground, so termites, you know, and then put the wood that they sit on top of the construction pin, and it's real structural, yeah.
So what are you using in your trays to start? This and compost?
No, I'm not using, I'm gonna sell them the worm castings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't need worm castings in my compost, it's plenty. Yeah,
So just straight compost?
plenty of nutrient, yeah. Yeah, you gotta hydrate, you gotta hydrate, yeah. And you don't wanna hydrate so much that water's running out of it, you know, but hydrate enough that it doesn't dry out. And I can show you what that looks like too when it dries out. I got the castings that formed on the bottom of one that dried out, and it's like a bowling ball. It's just all cemented together. Any questions about the vermicompost?
Yeah, where can we get worms?
I got red wigglers, but I sell them by the half pounds, and it's not just pure worms. It's the castings and the worms together. You know. But you know what's really nice about this on top of the crumbles on top of the mango is I can walk out here barefoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's really spongy.
Wow.
I mean, this is a lot of mulch going on to that area. I put in calcium carbonate and let it water it in on rain, you know, and look at them buggers. They just keep producing. This is a worm bin that I'm still battling because it's nice to have it flow through, but the air comes up and so it has a tendency of drying it out. So I'm gonna put a spigot over here, and so I can, you know, hydrate it more often, because that's the problem right now. The spigot isn't close, and I don't get the, you know, because like every day I'm always in a bunch of stuff, you know, so to keep managing these worm bins that I'm putting in. But this is PVC. Horse manure will be good in here. I'm excited about that. Irene, did you know I'm getting a pile of horse manure? I just want to break it to you now. Well, everybody's here, so they don't have to hear you say, what? Okay, so this pile here, Ricky and I made, was with mushroom waste from the mushroom farm up in Olinda. The coconut that we just showed you run through the shredder twice, and IMO2, Koholave IMO2, and OHN, fermented plant juice, and brown rice vinegar in the solution. So we hydrate that coconut and mushroom waste with that solution, okay? And then we cover it. Now the problem was this week, the rain and the fact that mushroom waste has been sitting in my chill for an extended period of time, and opened it up and it had all mycelium on it, but it had eaten all the protein. Now see, we didn't learn this with Master Cho. He wasn't talking about protein and carbohydrate, and you need both to do a success. Because the wheat germ, we used to use the mill run of wheat, okay? You know what the mill run of wheat is? When they mill wheat, it's the outside shell and stuff that they just think is waste product. That feeds the cows and stuff, but it's called mill run of wheat. Ricky and I used to get a ton for $117 delivered, because there was a mill on Oahu, Pendleton. But then Pendleton tried to re-up its lease, And the state said, yeah, you can re-up your lease, but when you leave, you got to take down the silos. And the silos has asbestos on them, and they're right on the ocean. So Pendleton said, no, homie, don't play that game, because that would have been a lot. You have federal regulations about asbestos right on the, you know, on the dock there. So Pendleton moved back to California. Now, mill run of wheat costs for 50-pound bag costs $30. 50 pounds. You know how much that would be a ton? Figure it out, do the math. So what Ricky and I have done is gotten creative, and we were using coffee parchment's a good one. It's a little hydrophobic. If you use coffee parchment with beer mash is good, because beer mash is real wet. You mix the two together, it comes pretty good, you know, not too wet, not too dry. But we are using the mushroom waste and the coconut waste. Now what you can do, and what we did with this pile, is when it wasn't firing properly because of the rain and everything, and because of the protein, the loss in protein, we added sunflower meal. Where do you think I could get sunflower seeds? Right in my chill. We grinded them up, made a protein mix out of it, and we added it to this. Whew, temperature came up to 130. Wow. We wanted only to come up to 120. Now it's what, 116, Rick?
15, 16.
No, it's 120 here. Yeah.
Oh, that here was.
Yeah. So, you know, the pile, it varies in temperature, but so 120 is the ideal temperature. That's when you're getting your mycelium to grow. I mean, ideally, I'd rather not harvest this pile today. I'd like it to go another day just to get that mycelial, and I don't like the sun being on it right now. You know, it doesn't help with the, you know, burns it up, but we're almost in the shade. We only have that much to go. What time is it? What we would do is, in harvesting this, we would harvest this as IMO 4 when the temperature drops. And the temperature drops from 120 down, you know it's ready. Okay?
Just stack them up over there.
Yeah, we don't want to take it all off. Just right here, so you can see. Yeah, I don't want the sun on it. Give me one of those mats, please. Not like it's going to kill everything, but yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. Come here and check out. It's like a sponge cake. Now, have you ever seen a compost pile this height be 120 degrees? Come over here, everybody, come over here. I want you to take your hand and go like this and see how far down you can go before it's uncomfortable.
And this is only since when?
2 days ago.
Really? You just turned this, right? Well, I think one time it was turned it.
Yeah.
This is going to be the second time you can turn it.
Do a new hole because we just let a lot of heat out. You feeling it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So normally compost piles got to be a lot bigger to get heat.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Is that just because of all the activity in there?
Yeah. The proteins and carbohydrates working together. You're feeding the carbs.
All that amendments we're going to give you.
And those amendments, the OHN, the fermented plant juice, the brown rice vinegar, and the IMO2.
So tomorrow you can do this. And in 3 days you're going to get this ready.
Now, see the gray color? Then you know it's when it turns a gray. That's what you're looking for. This still needs a few more days.
There's some gray in there.
Yeah, there's some gray. Now we have it on a bed of biochar. You see all the biochar?
Oh, yeah.
All underneath is biochar.
Somebody could stick their hand in there.
Yeah.
Make your own biochar?
Yeah. Ricky did with the charcoal business.
A little bit low temperature.
So it needs to develop the mycelial. But you know what? We take a Petri dish, put some of that, and look it under the microscope. You'll see what kind of activity, and I'll do that later. These mats are perfect because they let air in and keep the light out. Okay, so show them the sediment, Rick. So this is IMO3, the mushroom, the coconut, carbohydrate, and protein. The mushroom waste had protein in it. Okay, when it was growing mushrooms, it had soybean and oats. And then the carbohydrate, it had, was it mushrooms? Had the oats, yeah, soybean and oats, basically, carbohydrate and protein. And then that protein with the coconut waste is what gives it the energy to heat up. This is from Eyal Valley. And this we add to this. Once this is done, we mix another batch of water with, we don't need to use IMO2 anymore. We just add fermented plant juice, OHN, brown rice vinegar, and that fires up to 120. And then that's called IMO4.
We're going to do that now, eh?
No,
Oh, you're not going to do that?
no, because we need 3 to do that. I was going to make a new 3.
Oh, okay.
I had containers on here. I had the tarp on top of it. I was just trying to every which way but loose, you know. But normally Ricky and I are right on, man. The temperatures goes to 120. It doesn't get any higher. I mean, we got it pretty much dialed in. I have some of the solar lights in here, yeah. And look how nice the flowers are doing with the solar light at night.
Oh, yeah, they love it.
They love it, yeah. And the chard, look how healthy, you know, the parsley. So I really like the idea of using lights like this. You should try it, Christy, in your plantings. Solar lights, yeah. So far, you know, it's been an experiment, but so far I like it.
Ready to make a difference? Valley Global is leveraging local knowledge to restore and feed Maui, one superfood plant at a time. Head to valleyglobal.org to join our community-driven recovery and sustainable efforts.